Welcome to TimeBolt Office Hours on October 5th, 2023. You are live with Doug and Quinston and our compadre, TJ. We're here to check your questions, answer your questions, check your workflows, and generally just make sure you get the most out of TimeBolt. We're going to be answering customer questions today, see who comes up on the line. Today, we're also going to be focused on our Shorts workflow from an iPhone to making dynamic transitions and captions and doing that inside TimeBolt, and then in CAPCUT we'll show you a very fast workflow to do that. Do you have any questions, TJ? Anybody got any questions to get started? Or
well, the only thing that I wanted piece of TimeBolt, I did a 4-hour recording on Cisco WebEx very well in regards to grabbing it, and then I ran it through TimeBolt, got rid of the dead air and stuff. It took a little while because my laptop isn't that aggressive, if you will. I was able to handle a 4-hour without any issues, and dropping into DaVinci Resolve with the JSON file, everything worked out fine. I was able to cut like an hour off of the session.
What's your opinion on right now you can't. You're on a Windows PC, correct?
Yeah, you don't have to insult me or anything. That's fine.
Even I'm on a Windows PC.
Yeah, luckily Quinton owns both of them. But I don't own a Windows PC, and one of the only difference between TimeBolt so far is on the recording aspect between Windows and Mac, the resolution capability between Windows and Mac. Have you noticed, like, because it's right now your recorder is basically on a quick, fast recording setting, and you don't have the HD yet. I didn't know if you had noticed that, or if these were kind of like lower res Cisco recordings that you're doing.
Well, the Cisco WebEx defaults to 360. I have mine set up to 720p, and then when I drop it into DaVinci Resolve, I just have that option when you go to save it as a YouTube video. I just do that. So that's whatever that resolution is for YouTube videos and stuff. I'm not doing any like real 4K stuff with it, and the quality is fine for what we want, because as you guys know, when you're doing these podcasts and recording stuff, everyone is more concerned about the and then getting the audio right, and then the video is just second nature and stuff. So I think me having your Windows box, I did upgrade to 6.0.5 this week, and I have no issues with that at all. And I ran my session last night with this version, and the thing came out with no issues at all.
So the audio, that's kind of a good, I did kind of want to review that. If Quincy, can you give us kind of a background on, right now we're limited to 130 kilobits per second audio, just when it's rendering inside TimeBolt. What was the reason? Is it hard to pull out lossless?
It's not limited to that. It's not. It just picks out the best. What we do is we let FFmpeg decide which is the best bitrate for that file to be at. So it's not limited to 128 kilobits. It's just, if the file that's inputting is 128, then the file that outputs will be around that. If the file that inputs is higher, then FFmpeg will try to maintain like what's the best bitrate to go out, but it's not.
Okay, it's not limited. It's making dynamic selections.
It's making decisions based on the file. Yeah.
And if a file that's going in, it has 320 kbs audio, and it's a high res MOV, right? Or if it's just an audio only, will it maintain that if you render in TimeBolt?
It will try to, but there's no guarantee. But you can't guarantee it because the file is getting compressed. So it will try to maintain that bitrate. But I mean, sometimes what happens is if you try to force the bitrate, the audio might become choppy. So I haven't done any like extra pre-processing on that front. I just let FFmpeg give the best output based on what it thinks is right. That's why my recommendation usually is that if you're an advanced level editor, push it into Premiere Pro or DaVinci Resolve, because those encoders are much more sophisticated and they will give you greater results every single time.
Okay. So no, that's news. Yeah, that's definitely news to me. And
one thing to add there definitely is that if you're doing Zoom recordings, or if you don't really care that much about the fidelity of the video or audio, like you don't really care and you just want to get it out there, then the TimeBolt renderer is just fine. It's not going to destroy your video quality or audio quality, but it's not going to give you like the best. If you just want like a video out there, I think the TimeBolt recorder is unbeatable. Yeah.
The one-to-one, maybe it's a small audience.
It's one-to-one. Yeah, the renderer.
Anything that's not really posted to YouTube and expected to garner your hopes.
I mean, it depends. People have different kinds of content. Sometimes you just want to have a 4-hour stream. You don't want to do anything. You just want to render it, put it up there. You don't really care about the quality that much. You're like, okay, it's good enough. In that case, it's fine. But if you're really anal about that stuff, you really want high fidelity and you really care about how much quality you want, then obviously you should use Premiere Pro, DaVinci Resolve, or something like that, which can give you more fine control over the output.
Excellent. I wanted to just go ahead. I don't know if you had seen this workflow yet, either TJ or Quinston, but our workflow was Shorts, and kind of show you going into CapCut. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay, the purpose of this workflow, just to kind of give you, a lot of us are asked to record a video and explain ourselves. And part of this was a pitch competition where it's just a talking head video that I had to record that had to be under 2 minutes. There weren't any graphics allowed. There weren't any like slides allowed. It was literally you pitching your startup to a community, and then they vote on it from there. So there's some projects out there where you don't have the option of putting in a bunch of graphics and layering in graphics. Either which way, this is the ideal workflow that I've found. And our buddy Nick, this is video straight from an iPhone. Now what I did was I captured it with a Rode wireless mic and a lavalier. I had good audio, and this is the native audio that came out of it. The first thing that I wanted to talk about, if you have good audio, your phone is your video is gonna look like this. It's gonna come in nice inside TimeBolt. The first thing I like to just talk about is that you sculpt the timeline. You have to know 3 keys. SOB, very, very simple to understand. S splits the timeline, O turns scenes on or off, and B back cuts. So the key is that once you start playing, you're going to put this playback rate at 1.5x. There is absolutely no reason why you would want to play back at a normal rate, okay? Once you hit the space bar.
Can I add something?
Sure.
One thing that I did notice you said is if you have good audio. And I think we need to define that a bit more. Like, what does good audio mean when it comes to an iPhone? And I think it comes down to like not having any background noise, like the fan humming, some jet engine going in the car, stuff like that. Good audio, basically for an iPhone, good audio doesn't mean the fidelity of how good your microphone is. That's not what it means. It means that the voice is what stands out. It's the most prominent part of your waveform. And there's no background noise that can hamper that or is interplaying with that vocal sound. And that's what good audio means when it comes to like the iPhone recording.
No, that's a great point. Yes. Even for these recordings, I turn off my AC and fans, all that stuff. Yeah, nice. And it does make a difference. And I'm actually bringing the sound through my iPads or what are these called? AirPods. So what happens is you have clear delineation between voice and sound and dead air. Right. And TimeBolt does often handle this for you. The key is like once you get in this timeline, you just start clicking around. OK, I know it's going to be just kind of barren. And what do I do here from here? But your first step is just click in and hit the space bar. Right. Because now you're going to see how it begins to preview. And what you do is, as you can see, I just said the same thing over. And what I'll do is I'll hit the B key and it back cuts exactly what we just cut. You can, if I wanted to remove this word right here, remove a video, I would click S and then click S again and click B, and now that part is gone. So remember, SOB, this is going to be very simple to get a hold of. And now O turns the scene on or off. Like I can rapidly cut scenes this way. And O turns the scenes on or off. So you are able to go through and quickly sculpt the timeline faster than it took to actually record it live. So what I've already done, I've already cut this up. This is obviously a scripted video. I don't need to run Umcheck, okay? But I've already cut this up. I'm just going to apply my timeline cuts. I've already saved it. You can save your cuts by clicking this button right here. And if you come back to a project like I'm doing here, you click apply timeline cuts. I'm going to select my JSON file, double click the JSON file, and it loads all my cuts. Along with it saves all the punch coordination, all the punch coordinates, so you can see. So for example, if I want to go back and say, oh, this is too close, I hit the letter P, right, and bring it down out. In addition to SOB, when you're going through, you can punch in on things with the letter P, and then add markers, which we'll get to a little bit later. So now that this is already loaded, I've got the punch effects, and I've got it fully sculpted. I'm going to go down here. I actually have fast forward silences turned on to explain a concept, mouse clicks as well, and just to kind of show how time just doesn't disappear in between two sentences, like in a transcript, how you're actually able to manipulate that time and speed it up, because there's lots of action happens sometimes in between when you're talking. What I do from this point, I look at my time frame. My output duration is 1 minute and 5 seconds. Okay. I'm like, hey, if I get this down to 1 minute, I can actually post it as a short. So Instagram, I think it goes up to 3 minutes, but we've got 1 minute and 5 seconds worth of material here. What I'll do, I'll go down here, I'll hit activate turbo mode, and I'll put, because I'm wanting to hit a specific time limit, okay, and it's over the 1 minute, I'm going to put I want this at 60 seconds. That means this entire video and all the content that I'm going to keep in is going to be sped up by like what, 10%?
109%. Oh, so it's like 9% faster.
9%. Yeah, about 9% faster. Okay, that's going to compress everything down, speed it up without making you sound like a chipmunk. I'm going to go here and I'm going to do export clips to a folder. I could hit add to render queue, but because we want to add transcriptions, this is going to be a faster workflow. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a new folder. I'll do pitches, spell check, and name tag, and now check are my favorite two things. and I hit select folder. Now what's going to go do is it's going to render and create all those clips. And I'll just quit talking here, as we'll just be able to pop right on through it once it gets done. Once TimeBolt gets done rendering your clips, they will be added in sequential order right here in a folder. And what you're going to do is click import folder.
Or you can just import the folder.
Yeah, you're going to import the folder, hit import. And as you can see, they're all 00001. What I'm going to do is now, these are already all selected. I drop it on the timeline. We have our vertical video. These are all cut up.
Today, it's quite common to be asked, record video to explain yourself. If it's not some...
And as you can see, the cuts are already made along with...
Everyone's first thought, how do I not look foolish? 35% of take...
So all the cuts have the punch, the fast forward baked in, the cuts actually made. What I do is I select these. Okay, let's go ahead and select all these. I go to auto captions.
Now I get why the cuts are important, because then you don't have to edit the captions yourself, because the captions are just like laid out according to how the clip is being cut.
Exactly. So these, as you can see, I don't have to go back now and go, oh, okay, well, this one doesn't really match up with the time, because the clip those cuts are already made. It treats it as like each individual clip. So now this is very simple. And now you can go through. What I really like about their captions is you can bulk apply.
How do you beat this? This app is free.
Yeah, it is. It's beautiful. You don't beat it. You supplement it, right? Like
exactly. You can't beat it. It's impossible to beat. Like, how do you beat this?
look, beat right there. That's the word right there. Yeah. Beat. Oh, yeah. That's funny. But there's these are your auto captions. Essentially, you take all the grunt work and you don't do the grunt work inside CapCut, because that would take a lot. Like this just took me all of 5 minutes inside CapCut versus being in CapCut for 45, right? Like that's
or an hour or 2 hours.
Or an hour. I'm dealing with a minute-long video here, right? That's and as you can see, we hit our 1 minute timeline. All I do is export this out, and now I've got a 60-second short video made, or I can now go in and add B-roll or add specific transitions, which you can get into the effects. You can get into adding stuff in between. I haven't even started, because you can do all kinds of stuff now. Right? Like, you can just drop shit in and make it as dynamic as possible, but your punch ins and your cuts and obviously your captions now are all time precise. This is what cool. What I end up doing is you still have to go in when you're going through, and like where the start and end of new sentences are, you're gonna have to do that anyway, right? You want options other than that, right? And then you go, right? So you do have to go in and like add punctuation, but you're gonna have to
punctuation
no matter what. You know what I'm saying? But that's a really fast workflow. And I would be posting these videos, Quinston, that I'm doing, but I'm trying to let the massive scar in my face heal, so I don't look like the elephant man. That's the TimeBolt to CapCut workflow, and obviously you can get as creative as you want inside CapCut. That's what the point of this is to get you in and out, get you into these creative finales as fast as possible. To create a YouTube chapter right now, we have to hit marker and then type in the chapter marker, type in the description. My question would be is if I didn't have the marker selected and instead I just typed in the descrition, would it still
no, it won't work.
Yeah. That is a two-step.
The opposite works though. So if you have the marker without text, that works. It will just show up as a blank.
If you have the marker without text. Because the question I have is that as we're going through, as we go through TimeBolt, maybe I should just throw a question. The question I have is, this is obviously really like marked up. Let's say I'm going through and I'm like, okay, this is important.
I'm here to answer questions, check your workflows.
I'm saying this is important. I'm saying this is important. Saying this is important. And by the time I get down to here, okay, and I'm like, okay, like how much time is that, right? Like I'm trying to hit a specific time frame, and what I don't know until I do all the other, until I'm like, okay, now I have to keep only mark cuts, and processing the request. Okay, now the output duration is 45 seconds. Now that means I have to undo the trigger, and I still have an extra, 15 seconds of time that I can go that that could be important. Most of the time, you're going to have more than one. I'm like, oh wait, this is important, and this is important, and this is important. And then I'm going to go keep only mark cuts, and then I have to go through, and now I'm at 1 minute and 17 seconds. My question would be, as we're adding markers for this purpose, which means we'd probably have to somehow split out the functions, is to have a tally, right? As I'm marking what's to be kept, that I have a running tally of how much time that is without having to go through and hit keep only mark cuts. Because then I could get pretty close. To me, that would be like, okay, I'm going through, I can keep this.
We could add like a marked duration. There's output duration there, right? So we can have maybe one more addition to that called marked duration. There's one issue though, when we have tech. Do you have any files? Can you load up a file with us? Because I do want to show you something. Even that part is going to be a little bit different, but yeah. So just should be enough. So now if you scroll down, you see there's output shorter by, there's output duration, there's input, there's time. There'll be, once you start marking here, this thing will just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, which I think is fine. I don't think it's, so we can have like the mark duration be after output duration. If you mark a clip, it could just get inserted in between. Like it'll be after output duration and before input words, just to like maintain that particular.
Yeah, like this is your.
So it's right now, but then we can obviously add more information to this. So mark
go like
duration
right here.
could be one thing. It could go right there in between.
Yeah, that would be. I think that would be very helpful. Even if you time bolt your stuff first, after you get rid of all these, like that way, there's just not all these cuts here, and then decrease the amount of time.
No, it makes sense.
Yeah, where you're cutting stuff up. That'll be
because the only way right now is
that.
to like turn off all the other cuts, and then that's the only time you'll be able to see it, which is like adds like 3 extra steps and 3 extra clicks, which doesn't make sense.
No, that's great.
Essentially, it's you're using the marking in a logical way to do something that you want. So I don't think inconsistent with like logical usage. I just think it requires a bit of a watch a tutorial or click on some buttons to just understand what is happening.
I agree. Layers. These are like layers. You do not. This video is 40 minutes long. Right. And it's raw. There's a bunch of crap in it. Like, and you have to like cut out the layers. You're not going to chapterize a 60-second or 3-minute short, right? Like for
exactly.
Instagram. You're going to cut this down first, chapterize it for YouTube if you're doing long form and uploading it to YouTube, and then use that file as like a new edited layer. And it would be interesting. It would be interesting one day if we ever get into like, that's how we describe and go through without having to somehow being able to do layers with inside TimeBolt, where this is our base layer, and then you've got your shorts layer. Anything you do here, that'd be kind of complex. It's very, very complex. I wouldn't even know how to describe it. So that's what I was thinking there.
So now, as you notice, like I think one thing that everybody should know with the new algorithm is that everything is cut. There's no inference that TimeBolt makes on its own that this is supposed to be kept or it's not kept. If you see, there's only one thing that's not cut. If the cut is like really small, like if you say an that is like really, really small, is less than 0.1 seconds, and that creates like this sliver, right? This it's not exactly a cut, but it seems like a cut or a split between a long green section or a long red section, and that is undesirable. That's the only piece that TimeBolt removes. An spoken in between a sentence, it still removes it if it's longer than 0.1 seconds.
Okay. And it's detected inside the transcript, but not cut from here. Now it is absolutely for sure, because the accuracy of the time codes isn't accurate. You can't have an is naturally going to be over.
Yeah. If the transcription itself is wrong, then there's nothing we can do because that's the information we're using. But if the transcription is correct and that is in between a sentence, which is like a flowing sentence, like, hi, my name is Quincy. This is how, this is like a flowing sentence, right? Now the is in between. So sometimes you might want to get it cut. Sometimes you don't. In the previous version of TimeBolt in 6.0.4, I mean, we made a decision that we don't want to cut that because it's flowing too fast. But a lot of users have said that they want that to be removed, even if it's in a flowing sentence. We've listened to whatever customers want, and we basically implemented that change where even if the or any filler word that you select is in between a flowing sentence, it will now 100% be removed if it's available in the transcription.
Very, very well explained.
Unless it causes a sliver, unless it's just small that it,
And that's very possible. And that's when you're talking about random that's the problem with the transcriptions. It's that they're just inherently not super precise down to the millisecond, and that's what these time codes are for. If it would just cause just one sliver and was like right, it'll just cut out the middle. We ignore that, right, because it's not of a certain minimum duration. And that minimum duration is very low. Like you said 1 second, so it's nice as shit. See how nice that is? You got rid of that whole.
You should stop using your mouse so much and use keyboard shortcuts more. You can just press down. You can just press down thrice and you just go back
down twice.
I think it's just like if it's a long file, it's just harder for it to like skip between sentences. I think that's the only issue. We can fix that though. It's a performance thing. If we put some effort into it, it could be fixed. Yeah.
Here, I should. You can share your screen. Did you say you want to?
Yeah, I was trying to show if I have the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if I press up on mine,
yours wave. That's different behavior than I've got.
Even if I press it down, it still works.
That's a whole different.
It could also be because of the size of the video, like the resolution of the video. Maybe it's taking time to like render that particular portion. It could be any bunch of reasons.
Is it a PC?
Yeah, 4090 and 32 gigs of RAM, i7, 13. Obviously, that does make a difference, but
mine moves for 1/5 that amount of time. Like for as many times you're hitting that key, mine does 1/5 those.
But I still feel if it could make some performance improvements to this particular section, it could still be faster. That would take like a lot of time. You just to figure out where the optimizations could be gained. I think the factors that affect it, the base factor is obviously the computer, but apart from that, the length of the file, the quality of the resolution, the bitrate, how long it takes to render that image, and there are a bunch of factors.
How would you troubleshoot? So if you're going through and editing something, and all of a sudden it skips like a big green section, like you're like, wait a second, because like I'm able to catch that a number of times. Like you'll be editing, you'll hit go, and then it goes, and then it plays through a green, then skips a red and a green, and then goes to the to another green. I don't know how to like get that information, because then I can't go back. The thing is, I can't go back and then put my mouse in the same place and then hit a record.
I mean, the only reason that's happening is probably because the head wasn't rendered correctly in the right place. The head that was moving on the timeline, it kind of forgot where it was, because it needs to know what is in front of it, right? To go to the front. Sometimes it could happen that it thought that it rendered incorrectly, and it's actually in a different place, but you see it in a different place. It's actually somewhere else, but you are seeing it on your screen at a different position. It'd be like a rare glitch. I don't know how often it happens. If this happens like all the time, that also could depend. Maybe it hasn't happened to me yet.
It happened. It probably happens to me 15 to 20 times in a hour-long video, I would say, when I'm editing on Zoom. And it's never repeatable, I guess. Yeah, I can't repeat it. I would have to like literally be sitting there with you as you watch me go through one of these long files.
The only thing I can think about is that the rendering issue where the head is actually somewhere else, but you are seeing it somewhere else because it's being rendered at that position instead of having updated it to its new position. And so that could be an issue, because in that case, what would happen is it's on a green, you see it on the first screen, but it's actually on the second green. But then when it moves, it re-renders the whole thing, skips directly from the one you have to the one in front.
Yes.
It's actually doing it right programmatically, but you saw it here, but it was actually here and it went over there.
Yeah, I saw it here, and you're saying it was here. And when I
go to the next one, that could be an issue. I haven't really had time to like really dig deep and optimize like every single piece, but we could go back to optimizing the timeline.
Might be something that we just definitely put on the. I don't have anything else to talk about this. Okay, well, let me go ahead and close this and then give you a little bit of a review over whatever got going on. So TJ, you probably don't want to talk right now because you're.
I think I sound a little bit better now.
Oh yeah,
there we go.
I had to reboot the Rodecaster again. There's still some issues there. But I guess one question is did you guys put out on your YouTube the workflow that you guys use for DaVinci Resolve? Because I apologize, I couldn't make that session 2 weeks ago.
Oh no, we probably do it next week.
And then the other thing that I wanted to ask is, I don't know if it's in your queue or not. When I do those long Zoom calls and stuff, and I'm rendering it through TimeBolt, you utilizing the GPU on the computer?
Yeah, we're not usually. Yeah, we could add that feature in there.
Utilize GPU.
Yeah, for like re-rendering the whole thing.
I could tell Windows to say, hey, under graphics performance, utilize the NVIDIA one as opposed to the Intel GPU that I have in this laptop. It doesn't really matter if your code doesn't exploit it.
Yeah,
so I'd be looking forward to that.
The TimeBolt right now, when you press the render button on the front UI, it does use the GPU, but in the capture, it doesn't. We'll get that added in.
Is that the same for both Windows and Mac?
It depends if your Mac has like an external GPU, CUDA GPU, because I don't think it works on any other than NVIDIA. Or maybe it does, but I'm not really sure, because the one that we have HVENC, I think that's the codec we are using, and it only runs on NVIDIA GPUs, I think. So on Mac, if you have an external GPU, like connected with USB-C through an external mounted GPU holder, that might work. But on Windows, obviously, you have like a GPU built in, like the NVIDIA GPU. So it definitely works on Windows. Mac, I'm not really. It might work if you try it. Very rare, because most people don't have that set up. But on Windows, it does, and it uses the CUDA cores inside.
Well, that's it for TimeBolt Office Hours on October 5th, 2023. Thanks for joining us. If you like the content, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe button, and of course, notification bell when we go live. And we're out of time. Thank you.